welcome you. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Colleen Fitzgerald, and I will be presenting today's service along with Tina Jones. Lisa Merrill Price and Steve Israel are providing technical assistance. Thank you to our greeters, Bob Rex and Kelsey Crawford, and music assistant, Sophia Singleton. Please be aware we are recording this service, and it will be posted on our YouTube page. For privacy, we do not record or post joys and concerns. We join together this morning to seek justice, equality, and fairness in the world. Our hearts are touched by the human need we feel around us, whether far away or within reach of our hands. We come here to be together because this is how we believe our lives are best lived: in questioning and in conversation, in compassion and in service, in gratitude and in joy, in compassion and in love. It is good to be together with you this morning. For further news, please remember to read our weekly email, which provides comprehensive information about everything going on at NVUUC. Visitors, if you'd like to start receiving our weekly email, please make sure to fill out one of the blue cards found in the seat back pockets and put the card in the box on the greeters table. Please take a minute to greet your neighbors. The chalice will be lit today by Tom Edge. Please join me in reading the words provided for you as we light the chalice. With full hearts, we affirm our relationships with one another. We recognize our agency and our connective power, and we accept our responsibility to be bold and courageous. We light this chalice, symbol of all that we are, all that we have done together, and all that we will be as our shared ministry encourages those within and beyond our walls.
Gather the Spirit. There's a brief intro before we start, and you may stand or sit as Spirit moves you to do so.
Again, gather the spirit of heart and mind, for the sowing are laid in store, nurtured in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit growing in all, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun, nurtured to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again.
Hello. Tina Jones, and so our opening words today come from the person whom we're reflecting on today, Katharine Graham. This quote says, "What I essentially did was to put one foot in front of the other, shut my eyes, and step off a ledge. The surprise was that I landed on my feet." So today begins the annual Women's History Month, written into law. Yeah, that's right. Written into law by Congress in 1987, and since 1995 declared by proclamation of each sitting president. So as a reflection of the cult of personality we currently have running our country, and the repealing of civil rights of women and minorities, we hearken back to Katharine Graham, a woman of her time and status who became the symbol of a free press and how it should speak truth to power. She was the female face of business. She faced and made decisions that shaped the future of democracy and journalism for decades to come. And here's some of her story. Once upon a time, not so long ago, by historical standards, a little girl named Katharine, or Kay for short, was born to a wealthy New York family. It was June 16th, 1917. She and her siblings were raised by nannies, governesses, and tutors. Private schools were in her future, as was a job at her daddy's newspaper, at a time when few women worked outside the home unless they were in domestic service or teaching or nursing. She enjoyed tennis lessons, equestrianism, and debutante balls. At the paper, she met a fellow journalist, a smart, charming man named Philip Graham. Hey, that rhymed. They fell in love and married, both continuing to work after marriage until after World War II and the birth of their second child, Donald. Of this time in her life, Graham once said, "I resigned myself quite contentedly to the life of a vegetable. I went to cooking school in the morning, had lunch with friends, sat in the sun with other pregnant ladies, talked, gossiped, did everything in short that's in the books, including laying out my husband's slippers and smoking jacket. I am serious, I assure you, and the funniest part of all is I liked it." All was going her way. Her father named her husband, Philip, as the new head of the family paper, and it thrived under his stewardship. He acquired new holdings like Newsweek, 4 television stations, and 2 radio stations. He was often consulted by Presidents Kennedy and Johnson due to his military experience in World War II and his enmeshment in DC politics. Yet he was able to keep a separation between the press and personal, continuing Kay's father's desire to make his paper, the Washington Post, an accurate and influential voice in the world. But behind the scenes, trouble was brewing. Philip struggled with manic depressive disorder, untreated, and became a functioning alcoholic. He began having affairs and eventually had a breakdown that put his knowledge of President Kennedy's extramarital affairs in full view. He was sent to an institution for treatment for depression and alcohol abuse, but he charmed his way out for a weekend at the family farm. He ended his life within earshot of his family. Katharine Graham found him. She was a widow at 46 years old. Thus began an unexpected, unknown journey for Katharine, the self-proclaimed doormat wife. Not only did she have to grieve the loss of her beloved husband and the father of her children, 4 children, she had to decide somewhat quickly what to do about the family business. Those around her, and certainly those at the Post, assumed she would sell it. Surely that would be best for all involved, they said. But Katharine surprised them all, deciding to step in to run the company. In her mind, it was a placeholder position meant to keep the company going and in the hands of the family until her son Donald, only 18 at the time of his father's death, came of age. But instead, she stayed. On this decision, she later said, the quote from before, "What I essentially did was to put one foot in front of the other, shut my eyes, and step off the ledge." She had no idea what she was doing or what she was getting herself into. She had no management experience, having spent only a few years writing for the paper before becoming a full-time mother and supportive wife of the president of the Post. She would discuss how intimidated she was in those first years. She didn't speak up in editorial meetings. Her board consisted of white males. If I can get this to work. That would be a bit intimidating. Right? Not just a few, a plethora of white men, and poor Katharine. They were not thrilled to have a woman as their boss, and they tried to manipulate her and influence her to make decisions that were in their best interest, not hers or the paper's. It makes me think of a pack of wolves in sheep's clothing that clearly does not hide their true selves. Something like that. For those of you who can't see what's going on right now, there's a wolf in sheep's clothing, but it's quite obviously a wolf in sheep's clothing. Katharine played her hand very close because she was quite selective in who she trusted as she learned the business. Keep in mind that in addition to running the Washington Post, she was also now head of Newsweek and 4 television stations and 2 radio stations, and it was 1963. Women were not in positions of power anywhere. Despite her grief, despite shepherding her children through grief, and despite a lack of female role models in the publishing industry and beyond, she took the helm and she learned. She loved the Post. She shared a passion for it from the time her father bought it. Every day, she learned more about the business and began to give speeches on behalf of the newspaper. She would rehearse for hours with her children, by herself, and when the time came to give her speech, she would shake her way through it. Others saw her capability in a way she did not. In an interview, Katharine once said, "The worst handicap women work under is a self-inflicted one. That if you've grown up thinking of yourself as a second-class citizen, you always tend to put yourself down." I think a lot of us can relate to that. She worked past that, and then things became rocky. America had been involved in a war in Vietnam, and it was driving the country apart. A source from the Pentagon began leaking classified documents to the New York Times. The Nixon administration immediately sued to stop the paper from printing further portions of the story. It was then brought to the Post. It was June 1971. Graham had to decide whether to stick her neck, literally and figuratively, personally and business-wise, out by publishing more of the Pentagon papers, despite the gag ruling on the New York Times. The Post was about to go public on Wall Street. Nixon had the power, as well as the intention, to make her life miserable in that respect, and possibly even deny her the opportunity to sell shares. She steeled her nerves and gave the go-ahead. She was quoted as saying, "Democracy depends on information circulating freely in society." And a lawsuit followed. But within a few weeks, the Supreme Court had heard the case against both papers and ruled in their favor. Additional lawsuits were threatened, but didn't happen. It was a major victory for Graham and for the free press. So there she is coming out with Ben Bradley, her editor-in-chief, on June 21st, 1971, the day before I was born, which has no relevance, but seemed kind of cool to me. They're happy, they're looking vindicated, they had won. Barely a year later, Graham and the Post found themselves in another story that threatened to shut down the paper and do major damage to Graham's business reputation. Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein began publishing information they had received about the break-in at the Democratic National Committee office in Watergate office complex in June of 1972. Everything happens in June. Slowly, over time, more and more information came out tying people close to President Nixon and his re-election campaign to the break-in. The Post stood alone in reporting this story, with other major newspapers ignoring it as if their lives depended on it. Graham herself was targeted by the president and his supporters for this. And as the Nixon tapes eventually revealed, she was repeatedly referred to as a bitch that needed putting in her place. Many, many times that was used to talk about her. Everyone at the Post was terrified of retribution and what their future may be. Graham took the boxes of material on the story home each night for fear they would be stolen or destroyed. The Nixon tapes and the turning of key accomplices into witnesses for the prosecution led to the vindication of Woodward, Bernstein, Bradley, and Graham in their reporting. She in particular had been identified as anti-democratic, unpatriotic. Sound familiar? And as someone targeting Nixon with no basis, no truth in this. She showed up to work every day, made the hard decisions, stayed true to her belief in publishing the facts. Quote, "If we had failed to pursue the facts as far as they led, we would have denied the public any knowledge of an unprecedented scheme of political surveillance and sabotage. Their story brought a Pulitzer Prize to the Post and contributed to the downfall of the Nixon administration. She was the first woman to own such a large American company, which made her a target of everyone. In 1972, same year that they won the Pulitzer Prize, same year that they were celebrated for standing up for democracy, the Post was named in a lawsuit regarding discrimination based on sex by the women in their company. Many of these women had been relegated to desk jobs doing research or fact-checking. Hey, remember when they did that? When they were capable of doing true journalism and had the desire to do it and had the training for that. Graham, a friend of many activists in the fight for equal rights for women, wondered aloud, quote, "Whose side am I supposed to be on?" Her first priority was keeping the treasured Post and its mission going, but she also recognized and supported these women in their pursuit of equality. She stayed on, leading the Post as publisher until 1979, when her son, Donald Graham, finally took on that position. And she remained the chair of the board, note the use of the non-gendered form of title, until her death at 84 in 2001. In addition to her paper winning several Pulitzer Prizes over the years, she won her own for writing her memoir, published in 1998. As she did with all her work, she approached it methodically and with a lens of honesty and vulnerability. Without having the intention of breaking the glass ceiling for women in journalism and business, she accomplished it spectacularly. In 2013, her son Donald Graham sold the Post to billionaire Jeff Bezos, he of the Amazon fortune. It seemed a win-win. Bezos made it a personal investment, stating a desire to give new life to this storied, award-winning newspaper. Now, 13 years later, the Post has just announced the elimination of their bureaus in the Middle East, India, Australia, as well as the layoffs of 300 reporters, reducing the newsroom to levels that have been years before. Book reviews are no longer at the Post, and the dedicated coverage of sports is done. It isn't just the Post struggling to survive the loss of revenue from advertising and subscriptions in this age of internet access and free information. However, it leads to questions about the future of the newspaper whose slogan declares democracy dies in darkness. Other changes under Bezos has led to scrutiny about whether reporting verified facts is still the goal. While traditional newspapers are dropping away in the face of the internet, the loss of advertising revenue, and reduced subscribership, other means have become a voice to be reckoned with. Rachel Maddow on cable, Heather Cox Richardson on social media, and many others have stepped up to continue speaking truth to power. Katharine Graham fought to make her family's legacy a beacon of truth and accuracy. Let's hope that light doesn't permanently go out. Thank you. So this is a link to the National Women's History Museum, which is an online museum only. Congress approved, I think it's 2018, they approved the building of a physical museum in the Smithsonian array of museums, but currently it is still just collections of things and then online reporting. But if you are ever looking for resources about women, not only in America, but they have information about women who have done amazing things throughout the world. That is a great place to start. So I wanted to make sure you saw that. And there's also a way to donate to that museum if you are interested in helping them further the goal of preserving stories of women in history. Thanks.
And now for our second hymn of the day. We're still in the Gray Book, number 323. Break Not the Circle, and there's another brief intro before we start singing this one. Again, rise or sit as Spirit moves you.
Break not the circle of enabling love, where people grow forgiven and forgiving. Break not the circle, make it wider still, till it includes, embraces all the living. Come wander at the love that comes to life, where words of freedom are with humor spoken, and people know no score of wrong and guilt, but will that human bond remain unbroken. Join then the movement of the love that frees, till people of whatever race or nation will truly be themselves, stand on their feet, see eye to eye with laughter and elation.
Now, let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this church, which is important to so many of us. We gratefully dedicate this offering to the good of the church and to support the efforts of the Cocoon organization, which provides shelter and resources for survivors of abuse and violence. If you make automatic pledge payments, please place one of the yellow cards indicating the support in the basket. If you want today's contribution to count towards your annual pledge, please put it in an envelope with your name on the front so we know who to credit it to. Why women's history? Women's contributions and accomplishments have largely been overlooked and consequently omitted from mainstream culture. The National Women's History Museum helps fill that void. To this end, the museum serves to place women's history within current historical narratives because inclusive history is good history. And that is quoted from the National Women's History Museum website. And now we'll extinguish the chalice. When we take fire from our chalice, it does not become less, it becomes more. And so we extinguish our chalice, but we take its light and warmth with us, multiplying their power by all of our lives and sharing it with the world. Before our closing song, we have time for a few brief announcements. Please come to the podium if you have an announcement to make. While I'm here, no, you can line up. You can line up on both sides and then duke it out. So just another reminder, we are screening Famous Last Words after the potluck, so we'll start that at about 1 o'clock, and then we'll stay to have a discussion of that. And the interviewee of today's episode is the actor Eric Dane. Also, the bulletin board over the tea table has some new dates to save for the month of March, so please check that out during potluck.
I'm closer. So this is just for SSC. We're trying out Sunday night meetings. So the first meeting is tonight, 6:30 to 8. I sent emails out to the people who normally are helping us with that. If you can make it, great.
And thank you, Tina, for being chair of that committee. You do an amazing job. You weren't here last week. You were sick, and so I want to make sure you're thanked publicly for all the hard work you do. Okay, so next Sunday, I won't be here, but we still need to do the second Sunday committee Sunday, and so I'm hoping, members of the board will be there to take notes, and chairs of committees will come and do a brief report on what they're working on. And if you're not able to come next Sunday, but you are a chair, send an email to president@mvuuc.org and give me a brief update, and I'll make sure that it gets into the notes. I know that the board finds this information really helpful, so thank you.
Hey, yeah. Blood. Next week is the blood drive, and I know, very exciting. The first one of the year, and thank you to everyone. I have food, I have volunteers. I need blood, I could use more blood. I'm just saying, donate, donate, donate. Please, that's the goal, it's the whole purpose of everything else. And so if you can't donate, please see if you can find some friends or coworkers or strangers on the street, I don't care. And see if you can get them to donate. Also, I wanted to say, for the potluck today and for all future potlucks, if you wouldn't mind, it is helpful if we have the ingredients for things that you make, especially if it's like in a crock pot and you can't tell. Some of us have allergies, and it just really helps people know if it's safe. And that includes like seasonings, because some of us have a weird pepper allergy that, I mean, who has that? Anyway, if you could do that, that would be helpful. I did put cards out on the table, so just grab a card, whip it out if you can, just put it whatever you can, and let me know, or let everyone know if it's safe for them. We'd appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, speaking of the blood drive, after service today, if everybody could just grab a chair and stack it back here with the other chairs. I have to empty it out for the blood drive, and that helps Bob Rex, who usually does it and does a great job doing it, but it's one less thing that he has to bother with. So if you can, those can just go up on the table over there.
Just a quick comment to say that if you have ordered strawberries from Ace from FFA, they have arrived, and they have them in the RE room.
Yep, it's continuing. MVUUC Meditation Group is now formed after 6 months, And we're continuing to open it to anyone who would like to come at any time. Don't have to come every time. Just come and see what we're doing. We have completed the mindfulness book by next week. This Wednesday will be the 8th chapter, and there are all suggestions in there, very interesting kinds of experiments that we're doing together. And so if you feel like you need a little meditation group, however known, come by and see us on Wednesdays from 6 to 7. We sometimes bleed a little bit over speaking on at 7, and we'd love to have you there. Thank you.
Okay, so I have 3, so I'll try to be quick. The first is Crafternoon is happening again next Sunday. But thank you. We had a great turnout for the first Crafternoon, so we're going to hold it again next week. Second, Building Beloved Community Beyond the Binary is April 18th, which is a Saturday. If you are able to volunteer, we're looking for people to help with Zoom tech and to greet in the first part of the morning. Dawn graciously agreed to be greeter for the afternoon, so thank you, Dawn. And you're also welcome to just attend. It's a space for trans and non-binary folks to just get together and share resources and be at peace with each other. The third, this is more gestures broadly at everything, but yeah, so it came to my radar because of Authors Against Book Bans. There's a piece of legislation that is still in committee right now called House Bill 7661. If made into law, it would effectively ban books like mine from the children and teen sections from school libraries. So call your representatives. That's my PSA. Thank you.
Hi folks, Steve Israel. This afternoon, 4 o'clock, the Bowling Green Area Community Band is performing, and I'm now a member. I play clarinet, not well, but that's why they kind of stuck me at the end of the section, but that's okay. Before joining this band, I looked around. Mommy has a band, Toledo has a band, there are other bands around, but the Bowling Green band is by far the best. And even with me playing with them, it brings the average down a bit, but it's still, it's good. So, if you want to see what I look like all dressed up, that's one reason for coming. Another reason for coming is they have entrusted me to put together a slideshow that accompanies the last song that's performed during the program. Hope I don't screw it up. There are 67 slides that have to be changed through in about 6.5 minutes. It's done manually to the beat. So I've been practicing at home. I think I can do it. We'll find out for sure. But that's this afternoon at 4 o'clock at what BG High School refers to as the PAC, the Performing Arts. Yeah, okay. It's at the high school. Beautiful facility. And if you can join us, the show's at 4 o'clock. Thank you. Free. It's free. Did I tell you? It's free, too.
Do we have any announcements online? Okay, cool. So, for our last hymn, it's a surprise. We're going to be singing hymn 368. Before we do that, though.
Oh, yeah, so you asked for a notes. That's my line. Okay. After the closing song, we invite everyone to please stay in person for potluck. Thank you for joining us. Okay.
Can you get the mic for her? So the fun thing about this last hymn is that it can actually be sung in two different parts because there are two different melodic lines printed. And Lynn, graciously and surprisingly, has offered to sing with us, or to lead the second part.
Right, so I'm going to sing the bottom part. Sophia's going to sing the top part. We'll sing it through for you once without accompaniment. And then we're going to turn on the piano and let her rip, and you take whichever part you want, okay?
Okay. So here's what the two parts sound like together.
Now let us sing,
Through the power of the
sing,
faith
sing,
within.
now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the faith
sing,
within.
lift up your voice.
Lift up your voice.
Be not afraid.
Be not afraid.
Now let us
Sing to the power of the faith within.
Ready? Okay, so
No, not that one. This is the intro.
Oh, is there an intro?
So you can stand, have some fun, move around a little bit.
Now let us sing.
Sing to the power of the faith
Now
within.
let us sing.
Sing to the power of the faith within.
Lift up your voice.
Lift up your voice. Be not afraid. Sing to the power of the faith within.
Let us sing.
Sing to the power of the hope within.
Let us sing.
Sing to the power of the hope within.
Lift up your voice.
Lift up your voice. Be not afraid. Sing to the power of the hope within.
Let us sing.
Sing to the power of the love within.
Let us sing.
Sing to the power of the love within.
Lift up your voice.
Lift up your voice. Be not afraid. Sing to the power of the love within. Sing to the power of the joy within. Sing to the power of the joy within. Lift up your voice. Be not afraid. Sing to the power of the joy within.
Go in peace, be at peace. Happy Sunday.